Marry me, Annie here, and I am vlogging. I have lots of bits and pieces here, and I will get to one of the really amazing things that came out of my experience with the miracle mantra in Kuan Yin, which I'm putting in the vlogging category. It wasn't a deeply spiritual thing, but it was a very exciting thing. So let's start the vlog off with ketchup. That sounded like ketchup, like you put on a hot dog, didn't it? With catch up. I've been quiet for reasons that you will hear a little bit later in the video. All is well. In fact, all is amazingly well. It is wonderfully warm, summer-like here. I love it when Beltane really does feel like the beginning of summer. We have Beltanes where I live that feel most definitely spring, so they don't go back to the old way of looking at the summer half of the year. We've had that this year. We've had some cold days in between, but we are getting lots of warm days, and I have been relishing those warm days. All's well with Roger and I and our health. We are both continuing to feel better and better. We've slipped a little bit on watching what we're eating. Not getting unhealthy, but eating too much. Quantity can be a problem when it starts sneaking up on you, so we need to get back in control of that. And with your support and our focus, yep, we'll get back in support of that. But let me tell you the exciting thing that came out of the miracle mantra for Kuan Yin. We still don't believe it. I still don't believe it. It's a hard thing to accept. It's been so huge in our life. But one of the things early on that was my initial call out to Kuan Yin as I realized I was getting too busy with work and things and just the busyness of life that we all experience. I felt like things were slipping by me. I wasn't sure exactly what. I wasn't sure if they were important things or things that were okay to slip by me, but I just had a feeling I wasn't as present as I needed to be. And I accidentally got in that pattern. So when I was starting the whole Kuan Yin miracle mantra chant, that's what I asked for her, was awareness. I wanted that stilling, open-minded, open-hearted energy of Kuan Yin to be present in me. I felt for a couple of different reasons, some pretty serious, emotional, some stress-induced reasons. I was building a bit of a shell around myself, and I felt like I wasn't benefiting from that. So I wanted to be open. I chanted to Kuan Yin with thoughts of being present in the moment, open to beauty, being totally aware of what was around me, and to stop the analyzing mind and the monkey mind, to stop both of those busy things and be still and be in the moment and appreciate the moment greatly. I'm still in that moment. It has been a good shift for me. And because of my personality, which is very alpha type A, busy, organized, just manic focused. Can you be manic and focused at the same time? Yeah, I guess so if you're like me. It slowed me down. It calmed me down. I started appreciating sunsets and sunrises and bird song. The moon took on a bigger meaning. Taking a walk took on a bigger meaning. Being with my husband took on a bigger meaning. Being with the animals took on a bigger meaning. My friends took on a bigger meaning. It was just being so in the now. I'm feeling connected, not going from past to future, but being here now. In the middle of that, we took a trip to the shore to visit my brother-in-law. It's about a two and a half hour drive from where we live to go to the Delaware Shore. And we were down there visiting him, and I asked Roger if he could stop and visit a place that many, many years ago he had had a small beach house at, because he's talked about it a lot. In fact, quite a lot since I've known him, and I was very curious to see it. It wasn't his idea, it was my idea to go look at this place where he had lived. He had such wonderful memories about it. That was not like me. I'm actually so not spontaneous that I would have been, okay, we spent 4 or 5 hours at the beach, it's getting late, we have to hit the interstate and go home, we have 2.5 hours to get home, head north. That's what I would normally have been like. Instead, it's getting late at night and I say, I want to go see this place. We weren't too far from it, maybe within 20 minutes we were there. The thing is, as we drove through the gates to this little park on the bay that as it empties into the Atlantic Ocean, as we went through the gates of this community, I fell in love. It's a community in the woods, on the bay. So it's ocean, but not ocean. It is calm. It is deep woods, peaceful. The community is all pre-manufactured homes, so we have everything from mobile homes to double wides to modulars. So Americans are probably familiar with those terms, and I'm not quite sure what terms to use to describe them to non-Americans. I apologize for that. We call them wee houses. And by we, I mean me. That's what I like to call them. They are as real a home as those that are built on solid foundation, to my mind. And in fact, the first home I had as a young child, when I first left home as a teenager, was indeed a pre-manufactured home. A lot smaller. They make them a lot bigger nowadays. We're talking in 1971. So all these years later, I'm in this community in the woods. It's a mixture of soft and hardwoods, lots of pine trees, lots of white oaks, which love the seashore and the bay. Old trees, tall trees, the kind of deep trees that look like they're looking down on you. Sandy roads, the sound of birds I don't recognize, the sea breeze. We got there at dusk. So within this community, all small, pre-manufactured homes, lights were going on in windows. And it reminded me of the Thomas Kinkaid painting, bless his heart. It reminded me of that kind of thing where light in the windows is like a beacon, and the sound was all hushed, and the smell of the ocean coming in, and I knew that I was going to live there, that we were going to live there. It was an overwhelming experience. It was a total in-the-moment experience, and I have said since and will continue to say, Kuan Yin opened me up to this experience because I am a logical person. I am not an emotional person. I am not an emotionally reactive person. It's just not who I am. I actually would like to be more that way, but I'm not. But I was. I didn't say anything to Roger that night because it was a little strange to have this overwhelming feeling, and I didn't know how he would even feel about it because he had a life there in the past with his former wife, and I didn't know how connected he was, what kind of memories he had. I just didn't say anything. And I also felt, well, he'd be able to handle me saying in a very emotional way, I came home, I need to live there. Didn't say anything to him. 2 nights later when I came home from work, I did say something to him. And he talked about the wonderful memories he'd had there, and he was kind of surprised that I would want to live there. Because he never got the idea I was a beachy person, and I said, I am not. All the times you've told me about your little house at the beach, I imagined a mobile home sitting on a sand dune, being baked at high temperatures and sand blowing at you, and there was nothing about that appealed to me. I did not realize it was in the woods, on the bay, at the ocean's edge. I'm not an ocean lover. I like to visit the ocean. I am a still waters, lake, pond, stream person when it comes to where I feel the most comfortable. So we joked about the fact that I have champagne taste because we know what even those kind of homes in a resort community, this would be considered a resort community, would cost. And Raj and I have conservative financial means that we live on. He did some research though the next day when I was at work, and we found out that the real estate market, to our benefit, the bottom has dropped out of these kinds of small resort communities. There's still a strong market for the people who can spend a lot of money on big beach houses and mountain properties, but these less expensive places tend to be middle-class people, none of whom want to spend money on a second home at this point, not knowing what the future is going to bring. The little place that we eventually bought, and that is the punchline that we eventually bought, listed 5 years ago for 3 times what we bought it for. 2 years ago, 2 times what we bought it for. So we bought it for 1/3 the price. So it's a shame for the ladies that sold it to us. They sold their house that they loved so much at such a loss. But at least they know they sold it to someone who was in love with it. Indeed, we did fall in love with it. In Roger's research, he'd found there were 5 houses in the community we could actually afford to buy. And we went to look at them. This all happened within 2 weeks. We went to look at them. We had seen one online we liked the best. Indeed, when we saw it in person, we fell in love with it. It was the smallest and the least expensive of everything that was there, and we love it. It's only a 14 by 70 mobile home. with a porch that's almost the same size added onto it, and a big deck across the front, because the whole idea of going down there is being outdoors, not being indoors any more than you have to be. We've now spent 3 weekends down there. Yep, bought it that quick. We are still in the process of doing things like getting furniture in there. You know, you do want to sit on something and sleep on something. We're making progress on all that front. My point about this, vlogging with Kuan Yin, is every single moment of that 2-week experience, which was smack in the middle of the Kuan Yin miracle mantra, was not my normal emotional or intellectual behavior. I count pennies, I don't release any money from anywhere, I hang on to everything. The idea of taking care of 2 houses, having 2 sets of utility bills, the travel, maintaining 2 homes, all of that would have been something my logical mind would have said, yeah, but not for us. None of that entered my mind. Totally shocking Roger, who's like, what happened to my wife? This is a person I don't recognize. Even he had to acknowledge, well, there's something going on here that is a bit odd. And I knew it wasn't odd. I knew it was Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin knew that a couple things were going on in my life. I really wanted to release the hectic working years of my life and to begin to prepare in whatever way I could for retirement and what comes next. And this is indeed a first step to our living there permanently when I get to the point that I can stop working. A first step into being a permanent member of that community. About a third of the people in the community are full-time community members. The rest, it's a summer home or a weekend home, or they live there for part of the year. And we are hoping to use it at least 3/4 of the year, because there would be nothing more beautiful than spring and fall. Bayside in the woods also. So there'll be pictures and things to share with you. Probably be able to get some pictures up on Facebook before I can get anything up here on YouTube. But there will be something. I wanted to share it because I was opened up to this possibility of stepping outside, worrying about the future, the logical plotting and planning part of me, opening up to the here and now and possibility, which was absolutely due to the experience of the miracle mantra with Kuan Yin. The extra room in our little house is going to have an altar dedicated to her. What you see behind me that I showed in a video about the altar for her is going to go south and be set up down there as a permanent altar space. I'm sharing great joy with you. I'm sharing something that was a possibility that didn't exist a month ago. And it's amazing transformation in Roger and I's life. A thing of beauty, an experience of being at peace and with nature for the weekend, experiencing woods and bay, wetlands and ocean. Ugh, I just can't tell you what it has been like for us. I wanted to share that with all of you because it does mean I'm not online as much as I was. One of the things in the house down south is going to be no TV, no phone, and no internet. A change in life. A way for me to refocus on the present and the here and now. The experience of being totally with that. Yep, I'm still going to be around, but it's going to be a little less often. Probably more in response to when somebody asks me a question or someone's video intrigues me to put up something. That is what I think is a very exciting vlog, totally outside of anything I thought I'd ever be telling you. That Roger and Annie have a wee house in the woods that sits at the edge of the Rehoboth Bay, where you watch the moon rise over the bay as it empties into the ocean. Ah, did I really just say that? Share in my joy, my friends. Catch up from me. I wish you all mirth and reverence. Merry part.